Hey, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today, I want to talk about getting locked in to technology. Okay, so in the past few weeks, Google G Suite has announced that it's going to raise their prices per user by about 20%. So the plan that I'm on, which is $5 per user per month, is going to go up to $6 per user per month. And I think the upper tier is going to go by $2 a month, which for me, I have about 10 users on it. So it doesn't bother me as much as it would if I had like 1,000 users on it. But it's still annoying. It's annoying because we're locked into it. It's not annoying enough for me to move on to, say, like Office 365 or something like that, because we have loads of stuff in Google Docs, in Gmail, in Google Sheets. We're just part of the ecosystem. I have loads of Google scripts that I've written myself that are running in the background and doing daily tasks and stuff like that. So I'm locked in. In terms of that technology, I'm locked in. But it did get me to start thinking about, what if they doubled the price, or what if they went out of business altogether like Parse did? How would I migrate everything off? And I think I could probably write some scripts that would just go through every document, download them as a Word document, and put them in some drive someplace, maybe OneDrive, who knows. But there's a way out, but it's not going to be easy. But in a way, I'm locked into that technology. And I think a lot of cloud providers are like this. They want to get you on a free trial. They want to get you to attempt to use these stuff. And a lot of times it locks you in. Not necessarily intentionally, but once you start using something, it's difficult to pull all your data back out. I found this time and time again with CRM systems. We've tried so many different CRM systems. We're using HubSpot now, which is actually really good. But so many CRM systems we've been to, and it's just been like, oh, we're on the trial, and then the trial expires, so I pay for a few months, and then I feel like, you know what, we're not really using this to its full potential, so we pull out. We have to do all that whole migration thing, right? It's just a part of life. Now in the cloud infrastructure, you're paying monthly, and once you get locked into something, and there's a benefit for the companies for you to be locked into their platforms, it's difficult to get back out, which makes sense. A lot of new clients I get, many times in the past, they say, okay, Eric, so here's my plan. I'm going to make it free, but then when people start using it, I'm going to start charging. That's my plan. And I always say it like it's like new, but it's like I've heard it so many times before. But you know, fine, it's a business strategy. It works out just fine. But the same also happens with technology. So I started out in the Microsoft stack. So I started in a VB, Visual Basic 5 and 6, and then it was ASP pages, then ASP.NET, then the C#, and you know, through that whole way. And one of the things I didn't like about the Microsoft stack, even though it was my job, I was really into it, is it wasn't portable. I was locked into using a Windows server. So if I was doing ASP pages, I was locked into Windows server. I couldn't use the cheaper Linux server. And I know there's Mono, but especially in those days, in the early days, Mono was like you had to do things a certain way, or there were certain things missing, and you know, I just found it too much of a hassle. So that was one of the things that attracted me to PHP. Now, I am not a PHP fan, but even back in the early days, I saw the benefit of having a platform that was portable. So I could take a PHP and I could run it on a Windows server, I could run it on a Linux server, I could run it on a Mac server, I could run it anywhere, and maybe I might have to tweak a few different things depending on the code, but for the most part, it was portable. Going from doing C# and doing a lot of ASP.NET stuff later on, years later, and going to Node.js, I found the same thing. This is portable. This is an open source framework. You can put it on any kind of server, and I like that about it. I like having something portable, to the fact that whenever there's a cloud platform that tries to get me to code things a certain way to use their platform, I don't like that. I love Node.js, and this is one of the reasons why I like Node.js, is because I could take that, I could put it on Heroku. If Heroku jacks up their rates, I can move that over to Azure. And if Azure jacks up their rates, I can move it over to Google Engine. And if I'm just using pure Node.js, I should be fine. If I start getting tricky and start using some of the Azure libraries, then I might have a bit of trouble. But it is something to always think about. If you've been burned by, if you're one of the people who've been burned by Parse when they went out of business, you know what to look for. But it's something for you guys who are starting off on your new projects. Always think about the foundations that you're building it on. They should be fine, but think about, if this platform disappeared, or if it got too expensive, how would I move this away? And there's ways to do this. as long as you don't, if you code it in a certain way, most of the time it's a wrapper. You have a wrapper or a layer that you could do it. So like in the .NET days, we always had the business access layer. So that communicates with the database. The rest of the application doesn't know the database exists. So if I ever have to swap out a MySQL or a SQL Server database for MySQL database, I just have to change that layer. And it's something to think about. Don't get locked in. Well, it's probably impossible to not ever get locked into a platform or a system, but it is something to look out for, and always think about what do you do to avoid that lock-in, and if you do lose that platform, how easy is it to migrate off. Always something to think about. Cloud is going to change, it's going to continue to change, and we just have to have the most flexible software and systems and frameworks that we can. Those are just my thoughts for today. Let me know if you disagree with me, because you might disagree that you code better if you stick to one platform and just do that. And Firebase is one where Firebase is a decision where I thought, let's go Firebase because the benefits outweigh the risks, but it's still close enough in my mind to Node.js. You're still using JavaScript. You're still using the real-time database, which is similar enough to a NoSQL database, but not entirely. But it's one of those situations where I thought, let's go that way because I really like that, but other ones I stay away from it. So just some of my thoughts for today. What do you guys think? Have you had this problem in the past where you started using a platform and they locked you in and you couldn't get out of it? Or was so much of a hassle to get out of it that you just had to start paying more? So anyway, those are my thoughts for today. I will talk to you guys again tomorrow.